Al Jazeera Podcasts.
Today, the mystery behind Africa's ghost reporters.
It uncovers a world of deception where names and images of the dead are used to create false identities.
A new Al Jazeera investigation into a shadowy propaganda campaign in French-speaking Africa. I'm Kevin Hirten, and this is The Take.
My name is Justin Yarga. I'm a journalist working currently as a freelancer. And I'm based in the city of Gothenburg in Sweden. Before I moved to Sweden, I was working as a journalist in Burkina Faso. And I know a little bit about the sub-region, West Africa, because I travel there a lot.
I think that's an understatement, Justin. Justin, welcome to The Take.
Thank you for having me.
So, Justin, we're talking today about this film that you helped make for Al Jazeera's Investigative Unit, where I work as well. I love this story because it's a series of unfolding mysteries, which leads to some pretty high up places, I must say. And it starts with one person, a so-called military observer from the Central African Republic named Grégoire Cyril Dongobada.
He's an expert on politics and military affairs. He's published over 75 articles in 2.5 years, reaching audiences in more than a dozen West African countries.
He was the key to unlocking this. So tell me about who he is and how you helped uncover the truth about him.
I was following, information published on news, online media in Burkina Faso. And at a certain time, I noticed article published on some of those online media, and those article was quite weird. I would say it sounded propaganda. When I Google the author, because this guy signed as an expert researcher, and I Googled him, the first thing I saw was that he was publishing in other online media, and I mean that's really sparked the interest because he was also active on social media, and there we had a profile photo and also like some other clues that could lead us to other countries.
So you consume a lot of media in West Africa. You see this guy Dongobada, and you start asking questions because you notice that there's similar language in a lot of his articles. Then you check him out online. He has a profile. But then it really gets interesting when you send a picture of him to a friend from the Central African Republic, right?
When we realized that this guy has a link with Central African Republic, I realized that I have friends in this country. I would just check. It was at random, but I just sent to a friend and asked him, do you know this guy? And the answer, I was really surprised. He told me, yes, I know him. He has even been my teacher, but he's dead now.
He's dead.
I was kind of, are you sure? Can you check again? I can send you other pictures. And he said, yes, I told you I know him. I was his student, and and also this friend who gave me this confirmation, he also is interested in football. So he also told me, he's even a referee, but he's dead now. And we thought that this could be interesting.
So he's not Cyril Dongobada. He's actually, the picture is a school teacher, a famous referee, and he's dead. That's what you find out.
That's right.
So what about the nature of the articles that he was publishing, and how many articles did you find from Cyril Dongobada?
Let me take you back. It was just days after Russia invaded Ukraine. Then I saw an article that was really weird. And this article was mainly about African country and African people supporting Russia. And it's brought me back to a video I saw published by on social media where soldiers was showing their support to Russia and saying that they are ready to go and fight there. So this article I saw was like a red flag. This is may maybe propaganda. Someone is trying to publish those things. And I went back to collect all the other articles I saw published by the same ghostwriter. Most of article was like praising Russia and the Wagner Group, and in a very weird way, because you should think that in Burkina people are consuming news about Burkina and maybe close to Burkina. But we could come across an article about Central African Republic, how Russia is doing great there, and how the Wagner Group are succeeding.
As you said, many of those articles, this writer is taking strong positions on foreign players in Francophone West Africa. The articles are largely critical of French military presence while praising the Russian presence there. Before we get any farther, maybe you can just give us some context about this part of the world that you know so well, the legacy of French colonial rule, the emergence of Russia, and the power competition between them at this period.
Well, the context, the pro-Russian propaganda, or this, propaganda campaign we investigated, it's happened in the middle of a political context where it was stability and security. So 2015, Burkina Faso was under attack, and it has an impact on the political situation, that it was very unstable. That was one thing. And at the same time, people started having feelings against France, the former colonizer. We usually say the colonial hangover. So this was a time where people was angry, and it's linked to the situation, the security, because France has been fighting in the Sahel region, in Burkina, in Mali, and even in Niger. And people started feeling that there is no result. I would say the biggest highlight of this instability was that Burkina Faso had 2 military coups, and that led to departure of the elected elite. And I should add here that usually to explain the relationship between France and those countries, with the traditional political elite, it's very hard. They are pro-France, at least for Burkina, but Russia could gain an influence with, elected leaders. So it could explain that after the coup d'etat, that Russia could now come, and there are now a strong tie between Russia and those countries ruled by military juntas.
We'll have more with Justin after the break. Back to the investigation. We have this reporter who we've now established isn't a real person, right? And someone is going to a lot of trouble to build up his profile and push these articles out. So let's talk about the next break in the case. This comes when Al Jazeera's investigative unit obtains WhatsApp messages between a media organization, one of these West African news sites, and a middleman who was helping the ghost reporter Dongo Bada get these articles published.
This is a cut and dry information laundering technique. They're going to trust that here's a person with a Francophone sounding name who seems to be a legitimate profile published in a legitimate paper or online news site, and they're likely to take that at face value.
So the real question is, who is the middleman working for? Who is the end client? That's what we really want to know, Justin. The problem is the middleman isn't playing ball.
I can't tell you who the intermediary was, because it's a question of confidentiality, a question of our sources too. We can't tell you that.
He refuses to reveal the client's identity, and he denies that he's pushing political messaging. But that's when this gets investigative. I love this. Remember, we have all of these WhatsApp messages, and we discover that there's data hidden in the drafts of the articles that he's sending out. This is metadata, right? This is information embedded inside of the Word documents. So Justin, tell me about what you found inside the metadata.
Well, that's an interesting I would say, one of the most interesting part of the work. When we started looking if we can find something that could lead to, a computer or, and that's how we thought maybe we could check the metadata.
So hold on. So you find there's words written in Cyrillic, which is the Russian alphabet. And then you find these numbers. You don't know what the numbers are, but then you realize it's a phone number and the country code is Russia.
I end up finding out this is the phone number of a guy called Seth Wiredu, and the other name is Boampong. And that's already interesting because that's how you also link people to first a country, because the name really sounds Ghanaian. But further research led us to, his real identity. And I would say still working with forensic evidence. We try to put this number on Skype to get the complete name. And from that, we could look in official document to find out that this guy has linked to Russia. He's a Russian citizen, originally from Ghana.
And where did he live in Russia?
Novgorod, a region in Russia. So the official documents show that he was living there and even working there as a kind of teacher or teaching English.
Okay, so then you start looking into this guy, Seth Wiredu, the Ghanaian guy, and he's got a bit of a profile, right? For one, he appeared as an actor in a movie that was funded by the Wagner Group, a private military company with close ties to the Russian government. He also appeared in a CNN investigation in 2020 about a group called the Internet Research Agency, or IRA.
How long have you been working for the IRA, for the troll factory?
What troll factory?
In St. Petersburg, Russia. So,
well, I don't know what IRA is, so I can't say that I'm working for IRA.
Now, this is a pro-Russian group accused of hiring people in Nigeria and Ghana to post inflammatory information ahead of the U.S. presidential election.
Facebook, Twitter, and Google representatives will testify on Capitol Hill today about Russian election meddling.
A Russian internet firm, essentially a trolling farm, had a much wider reach than initially believed.
Tell me about the Internet Research Agency and who it's aligned with and why Seth Wiredu being possibly connected to it is so significant for this story.
The Internet Research Agency, it was in the news because of Russian interference in the election in the US. They mainly hire people to make up, information and publish, and we usually say a troll farm, where you have people just working to publish fake news. They have been hired to make some publication targeting the US.
And what about Prigozhin? Tell me about the links to Prigozhin.
Often seen on the front lines, usually dressed in the combat fatigues of a military commander, Yevgeny Prigozhin cultivated the image of an action man. As the boss of the Wagner Group of military contractors, Prigozhin proved himself willing and able to advance Russian interests in a way that few others could achieve.
Prigozhin is the founder of the Wagner Group, a Russian oligarch who died recently in a crash.
When the plane carrying Yevgeny Prigozhin fell out of the sky Wednesday, no one doubted for a moment Vladimir Putin was behind it.
And the link, he is also the founder of the Internet Research Agency. He has contributed a lot in, disinformation propaganda through his Wagner Group and also the Internet Research Agency.
So this IRA is notorious. I mean, it was heavily involved in the Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. That's the Hillary Clinton-Trump election. This was confirmed by a U.S. government investigation. So here you've kind of come full circle. You started with this mystery. Who was this reporter that was actually a dead man? And you've now linked it through forensic evidence all the way back to the Internet Research Agency, Prigozhin, Wagner Group, pro-Russia. So I want to end on what's going on now. First question is, has it worked? Has this influence campaign that you've revealed, this ghost reporting project, if you will, do you think that it's actually helped sway public opinion in West Africa?
A good question. I'm still asking myself this question because it's very complex. But I mean, if you look at what's happening now in Burkina, from my perspective, having worked on this investigation, my answer will be yes, it's work. But you should also remember that, things was already unfolding, and even researchers show that sometimes Russia just come and push and take the opportunity of something going. In this case of the countries in the Sahel, where, people was not happy with France still being there, and it's maybe easier for any actor to just come and push. You have a military coup both in Mali, in Niger, and in Burkina, and now they moved toward Russia and broke with France. And one thing also, when they was showing how Russia was doing great in CAR, mainly it was to get maybe contract for the Wagner group. Now, after Prigozhin died, it's no longer the same, but they are still here in Burkina. So I would say this propaganda work. Today, if you ask people in Burkina who is behind some of the attacks, I'm sure you will find people answering that it's France behind. And that was, we saw a lot of article arguing that France is behind the attack, France is behind some massacre that have happened. So for me who work on this, I can see a rhetoric in the propaganda campaign, and then the reality that, at least in Burkina, people are okay with this. And I would say it's mainly because of the propaganda and all those publications.
You're from Burkina Faso. You keep a close eye on the news coming out of there. When people in Burkina Faso see this story, do you think they will care?
I would say there are a lot of, this is not the first investigation showing something happening related to Russia and propaganda, and mainly on social media. People know what's happening. But I do think, even if it doesn't bring change in a certain way, at least maybe it will help people to pay attention. And this ghost writer did not only deceive people in Burkina, or maybe internationally. We even saw some news outlets, very big news outlets, who quoted this expert and then realized that, okay, this is not a serious guy, this is maybe, it goes. So those who are not paid to publish something, I think they will change their mind, they will double check before quoting or publishing something coming from such an expert.
Okay. Justin, thank you for coming on The Take today.
Thank you.
And that's The Take. Oban Kutele said that neither he nor his outlet entered into any agreement as part of an influence campaign at the behest of Russia, and that they were not aware of the existence of a pro-Russian influence campaign. Kutele also denied acting as a middleman as part of any campaign and claimed he was helping fellow journalists. The French Foreign Ministry said France has been working on transforming its historic partnership with Africa, especially in the areas of security and finance. Quote, France has been militarily involved in the fight against terrorism in the Sahel, particularly in Mali, at the request of the states concerned, and with due respect for their sovereignty. It added that France has been reconfiguring its defense partnerships with the aim of moving away from the logic of military bases. It also stated that France is no longer present on the governing bodies of the Central Bank of West African states and open to other monetary reforms, and that French media outlets publishing internationally under the state-owned France Médias Monde are strictly free and independent. The other parties featured, including the Russian government, did not respond to our inquiries. We'd love to hear what you thought about today's episode. Did you know about the Internet Research Agency? Still have questions about why there are pro-Russian interests in West Africa? Let's keep the conversation going and leave a comment below, and we'll see you tomorrow.